Steve has provided some alterations. Let's get that word correct. The alterations to Ohio Stadium. So let's check those out, Stephen. You can lead us on what's going on at the Horseshoe.
Yeah, Ohio State, excuse me, yesterday made announcements that they're going to put in some field level suites. That these are things that we've seen when we've gone on the road to Dallas, in particular, to the AT&T Stadium, the Cowboys Stadium. They have these kind of field level suites. I think Nebraska has a couple of them at their stadium, and these are going to be state of the art suites with a lounge area. Food, beverage options, all these things, and some outrageous price. Isn't it something like $6,000 a seat for the year? Is that right, Tony?
That's for the seats on top. That's for the seats on top of the suites. They have not put the prices of the suites themselves up yet.
Yeah, some outrageous amount of money. I mean, they used to charge $2,000 a year for the club seats on the west side. I don't know what that's up to now, but this is some outrageous amount of money. And one of the selling points, I mean, this is something like $800 a game, per person or something stupid. I mean, I don't know who has that kind of money to throw around. Not very many people, but I'm sure some people will do it, just to show everybody they can do it, I guess. But one of the selling points is you get to come down the ramp, the same ramp that the team comes down from the locker room. So by proxy, you're going to be rubbing shoulders with the players. Now, I know that the Redcoats are going to be very militant about, you can't go there, that kind of thing. But, stand back, whatever. But it'll be a nice experience, I guess, for those who get to see it. I don't know how great the vantage point will be from there. And unlike at AT&T Stadium, there's no big screen straight up in the air that you can actually watch the game on, because, the ones in Dallas, you're blocked by the benches. I guess there wouldn't be anybody standing directly in front of you. They'll make the photographers at that end probably kneel, I presume, or sit. And then that way the folks can see over them to see what's going on the field. But, yeah, it's something, progress, I guess. People go to games at Ohio Stadium, complain that there's no bathrooms on C-Deck or a lack of bathrooms. Well, before we address any of that, we're going to put some field level suites that we really didn't need down there in the end zone to generate a bunch of money that to pay these players that we actually do need. So if more places to urinate on C-Deck help them raise $5 million, then they'd have more places to urinate on C-Deck. But, these suites will produce more revenue and give people a really, really bad vantage point of the game from my standpoint.
Why not just charge $10 to use a nice bathroom in C-Deck? Just charge the people, and then you can put some nice bathrooms in there. I know they're getting their private bathrooms for those suites and those seats, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
I think the bathrooms under C-Deck, there's just like some porta potties, basically, from my understanding.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really gone up there a lot during games. I think in the renovation, they added a few bathrooms with plumbing, et cetera, as opposed to just, I think there are some of those, but not a lot. Nowhere near enough to accommodate the number of people sitting up there, especially once the beer gets flowing. So a lot of people halftime, and a lot of people miss halftime in the third quarter having to go to the bathroom.
You mentioned right now already you have in terms of the photographers in the end zone and what the sight lines are going to be for the people in those suites. They're going to be terrible regardless, but there's a line where the people in the front row of the photographers in the front row kind of have to kneel, and then the guys behind them don't necessarily have to. But like we're in the end zone all the time. I'm never kneeling. Like, to think that now we would have to kneel because there are people behind us, you're crazy. Like, I got work to do, and I know that there's going to be some sort of a upset thing, but you can't have these field level suites and have any concern about seeing the game, because that's not what those suites are for. Because even the only time you're going to be able to see anything going on is when they're within like 30 yards of the end zone, and your perception is completely wasted watching the view from that angle, that far away, that flat. The you won't be able to see the other team because one team will be blocking your view. You're gonna have to be watching it on television inside your suite. I think maybe one solution would just be, not a solution, but it maybe would help those people if there's a larger scoreboard in the north end zone, which probably needs to happen anyway, since there's also competitions with the size of your scoreboards and the size of your trons or whatever. So that'll probably be something in the future. But yeah, these seats, those suites are not for people who want to watch the game. They're for the people who, like, I've got one of those suites. Do you watch the game there? Well, we watch it on television, or we go to we go to our seats wherever else they are. But yeah, don't know how much those are going to be. I think there's 9 suites that hold 12 people each, and then every seat on top of that is a $6,000 seat. So you're talking, what, $1,200 a game or something like that, or whatever it is when it's six or 7 or 8 games a season for that. But it does, those seats, those $6,000 seats, that does pay for access to the 1922 club, which is something they're opening inside the stadium in 2026, a little social club that you can get into and you can have access to. So that's one of the perks of those seats, aside from just being able to be at the game and cheer loudly for your Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, it would seem to me that they are doing away with the storage underneath the south stands to put that stuff in there. That club is what it would seem to me, because I have no clue where that club would go if they keep that area, because that's the only open space underneath those stands. So, and that's where the photographers work as well, which is not a consideration at all for them. They'll displace them to somewhere else, I assume, but and displace all that storage to somewhere else, I assume. But, the band is going to move from the southeast corner back to the northwest corner where they were for, years, up until, maybe 15 or 20 years ago. They moved them to the south end. And the students will be still in the south end, I presume, just shoved up a few rows or whatever to make room for all these club seats and whatever else. So, it's going to be a little bit different, but my guess is when you guys go down there in the fourth quarter, they are not going to let you stand in the end zone or in the end line. They're going to move you to one sideline or the other. There's nobody going to be standing in front of those people. I can't imagine how they would have anybody standing in front of people paying that much money to have those suites. So my guess is all media people in the end zone will be kneeling or sitting or whatever, or just stationed along the sideline, where you can still stand on the sideline because the first row of the AA deck is raised up 10, 12 feet off the playing field.
Steve, let me ask you, all of the people that paid to be on the sidelines that are always there, will they there's just going to be more people, like the people that hang out on the sidelines that also hang out in the end zone. Now they're just all going to be relegated to the sidelines, which is going to make that even more of a mess. Which,
Yeah.
But in terms of the club, the 1922 club, I just liked, it's going to be on the east side of the stadium. We'll see
it'll be
what
a mess.
goes on there. They will also
But
have
it'll be a very lucrative mess. So,
And then the band, I see Doreen talking about it, like when I was in school, 30 years ago, the band was on the north side, and so were the students, and really the south stands, we never even talked about wanting to sit over there. Like that was just a bunch of cast-offs, and that was like alumni and fans, where like the students and the band were all nestled on the north side, like kind of like my campus experience, where I just stayed on the north side and I didn't really venture much into the south side because that was dangerous. I stayed on the north side, both in the stadium and on campus, and I thought it was fine. I don't know that this really impacts the environment, because these seats are not good. And I have seen people saying, well, at least now the people that always yell at people to be down in front are now down in front, so they have nobody else to yell at, and then people behind them will be fine standing and cheering. But we'll see how it works. I know they've moved the band around, they've moved the students around at times because, well, these are premier seats, and we can charge more money for these seats. So we're losing money by selling them to students and giving them to the band. So we'll see where things go now with that, and how they've reconciled the losses now. Just maybe give students fewer tickets. I have no idea how they're going to handle, because again, I know this is college, but every ticket that goes to a student is money that is wasted, the way some people will look at it.
No doubt.
Well, those are the only losses that can be reconciled at Ohio State. The other ones cannot.